And that's how an unexpected email changed the entire game for us. Let me tell you how it happened. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bologi Stephen, and on here we talk about faith, life, love, and living that balanced life you've always wanted. So I'm excited because I'm starting a new series. If you watched my first video for this year, I shared that my family and I just recently relocated to Canada with permanent residence. And you know me, I always give you gist with lessons. So I was like, okay, we might as well share the process, share the testimony, and it also sounds or serves as like a testimonial for me to always be able to come back and just remember and count my blessings. So we're starting a new relocation series, and I will be sharing a lot of things about the process. I'll be sharing some things about the permanent residence process in Canada. I'll be sharing how we came about the decision to relocate. Yes, whether we heard God or whether we told God. I'll be sharing the pros and the cons so far. We're still new here, so it's just like so far so good, right? I'll be sharing all of that. But today's video, I want to tell you guys about the miracle that got us in. Because the way we got in, many times my husband and I still like remember, and we're just in awe of God because it was a lot of little pieces that he put together to make it whole. That's what we're talking about today. So like I said, we came in to Canada with permanent residence. The thing is, a little background, we started this process in 2021, right? We started the process in 2021, but then with COVID, with backlogs, then they stopped doing draws for a while. For those that don't know how the PR system works or the express entry system, I will talk about that in another video, right? So just stay with me. I'll explain some things as I go, but I'll talk about that in another video. But anyways, so it was just like the whole thing was dragging. We wanted to, but we didn't feel like it wasn't a do or die affair. So we just let it be, right? And then by 2022, I'd always wanted to go back to school, and we had been delaying that because of relocation. I'm like, you know what, let's just take this step. We found a great school, we found a great course, and that's how I ended up in the US. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should watch my previous video. You will get the gist of that. In fact, I should say at this point that that email came exactly 1 year to the day that this video is coming out. Yes, it's kind of like a 1 year anniversary thing, you see. And so like I'm in the US, we're more focused now on like my family joining me in the US, right? Canada was still there, but it was a little back burner because if you know anything about relocation, two countries at the same time, that's a lot of money. So anyways, so we're just like, focused on life as it were for us right now, me in school and all of that. And then how the PR system works is it's points based. So you get points based on different things like your age, your educational background, your language test, if you have family in Canada and all of that. And then based on the points, when they do draws, the higher your points, the higher you're more likely to get in. You get? Now at this point, because age was not pausing for any system, age had been adding, points had been dropping, okay? So we had lost 5 points from when we got in because of age and where the draws were. Honestly, it was just backburner and not quite have BP on top the matter, right? And all of that, but it was still something that we wanted to do. Anyways, the draws had resumed. They do draws every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, they'll do a draw from the pool and pick a number of people based on points. So they had been doing the draws again every 2 weeks. Honestly, I had not been following it anymore. Like I said, my mind kind of like was just a bit more focused on school. But my closest friend who is in Canada, trust me, almost every week she's like, they did draws, these scores, right? And it wasn't really close to where we were. Remember, we had lost points. So yeah, and then it starts to get interesting in March 2023. Like I said, they do draws every 2 weeks. So they did the normal draw that they were supposed to do. They do it on Wednesdays. And then the next week, which no draw was supposed to happen, they do a surprise draw on a Thursday. Points come down a bit. My friend tells me about this because, like I said, I'm not following the news. Now, my brother in law and his wife had gotten PR the year prior, and then they were coming in March. Guys, what are the odds? They came in, so they did a surprise draw on Thursday, right? They left Nigeria on Friday and arrived Canada on Saturday. Follow me. So what this means is that now they've done draws 2 weeks back to back. Now, if you have a sibling, you or your spouse, if you have a sibling that has PR in Canada, it kind of gives you extra, it gives you extra points. So when they landed, my cousin friend calls me, she's like, your brother-in-law has landed, right? Okay, we'll add them to your profile. So that we get the 15 extra points. I'm like, okay, let them drink water and drop cup now, Abby. So they landed Friday, I think. Or so, yeah, I think they landed on a Friday. Saturday, we called them up, and of course they knew that we're in the process, so it wasn't like a strange thing. And they also wanted us to come join them. So they gave us the details we needed, and we added them to the profile. He gave us the 15 extra points. Now, these 15 points were still not where the draws were at the point. But I mean, extra points is extra points, right? So we collected 15 extra points with joy and gladness. And now this is 2 weeks in a row. And my friend is like, look, if they do a draw next week, you are in. I don't like to get my hopes up, guys. I don't like it at all. And I'm just like, look, I don't want to get my hopes up. I would rather not. Let me just be where I am. Like, what are the odds that they will do the normal draw, then do a surprise draw the next week, and then do another draw? That's 3 weeks consecutively. It doesn't really happen like that. What are the odds? And even if they do, I know what my current score is, or our current point is, and I know where they are. So what if they don't draw my points? I just didn't want to get my hopes high. Meanwhile, my friend is busy having all the faith for me. Guys, have friends that can carry, those friends that carried their lame friend to Jesus, and the faith of the friends was what healed their friend. You need friends like that. But let me not digress. So anyways, I'm just there. A part of me is wanting to get excited. A part of me is like, farabale, like calm down, right? And then the next week comes. And on Wednesday, I was working in the US. On Wednesday, I closed at 3. I literally had just logged off my system. I just stood up, picked up my phone to like head out, and I see that I have a mail. Guys, I just see do not reply. That's how the mail. And then they'll tell you that you have a message waiting for you in your application, like in your profile. They won't tell you in the email what the message is. Guys, my heart started like, oh my god, is this real? So I called my husband. I'm like, I have a mail. I called my friend. She already knew because they had done scores and she knew what my points were. So she was already like, she already sent me a message like, I'm logging into your profile. Anyways, I get home, I log in, and sure enough, I went into my application and there was an invitation to apply. Look, like I said, I'll explain how the whole process goes. Let me just give you this gist. But when they draw your points, what they do is they send you an official invitation to apply. That's when you submit like your documents and everything. I was just looking at this email like, oh Lord God, this is real. And I was just so thankful, like, it gets even more interesting. Now, when they send you that invitation to apply, you have 60 days to gather everything you need and submit, right? Yours truly did not have 60 days. Part of the things you're supposed to submit is a language test, IELTS. We had written IELTS in 2021 when we started the process. Now, your IELTS result is valid for 2 years. I get the invitation to apply on Wednesday. My IELTS exam is expiring the next week Wednesday, the end of the next week Wednesday. And I must have a valid IELTS result when I'm submitting. Guys, what does that mean? I don't have 60 days. We have 7 days. Yes. 7 days to gather everything we need across 2 continents. Because remember, I'm in the US, my husband and my son are in Nigeria, and submit everything. I'm trying not to panic. Because I'm like, what are the odds? How am I going to do this? So, okay, we start thinking that. And then, of course, 7 days is not really 7 days, because out of those 7 days, you have a weekend in between, right? So it's kind of like 4 days or 3 days, three full working days. So I'm on the phone a lot with my husband, with my closest friend, my brother-in-law. At some point, we're like, do I need to come back to Nigeria to get everything done? What's the best thing? Part of the things we need to do is a police report, especially for like back home, right, in Nigeria. We need to do medicals, all of these things. So we're trying to see, okay, can we book it now? Can we get it done ASAP? All of these things is just a lot. Anyways, we get police report done. I mean, thankfully, we get a lot of things done. Like, God just favored us. I would just you one other complication that came in. So we all had to do medicals. It was quite straightforward for my husband and my son in Nigeria. For me in the US, I had to first find a clinic that the Canadian immigration recognizes, right? I found one that was close, and they were just, I don't even remember, it was just all messed up. They were just putting me on It's Coming, story, they've changed name, this. I'm like, God, what is this? I had seen another one, but that one was 4 hours away. I don't have a car, 4 hours drive, public transport is nothing, it won't be anything less than 6 hours. Crazy. I was just like, what is going on? This was on Friday, right? So this was Friday. I think that was the day my husband and his son got their medicals done, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. And all of that. My husband was sorting out his own back home. I'm trying to sort out my own here. And I'm just like, how would I get to this place in time on Monday? So I called them. They said they have a slot for, is it 12:30? Right, and all of that. Do I want to make the booking? I'm like, okay, I'll call you back. Let me just try and sort out some things. But yeah, I would want to take it. My classmate and his mom were going to come and pick me up and take me to the post office to return something, an item I had bought. Now this woman has adopted me. If I may, adopted her as my Spanish mama. If you watch the video I did with the Adindus, I mentioned her. Such a blessing. Their family was such a blessing, right? So on our way to and fro, I was on the phone. I was on my phone. I was distracted. She knew it just wasn't like me. And she was like, "Baby girl, are you okay? Is everything all right?" And I didn't want to ask, but like a closed mouth is a closed destiny, right? So I was just like, "Yeah, there's an application I need to submit, and I need to do medicals for that. And the closest medical place I'm seeing is in Reston, which is like 4 hours away. I don't know what to do." Right? She says, "Oh, she and my classmate, because my classmate, her son, he was driving, and like, oh, that's not far." And she says, "I'll take you." I'm like, what? She's like, "Ah, yeah, I'll take you on Monday. That's not a problem." Hey, Jesus. I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I get back to my apartment. I call the hospital up. I'm like, "Please book me for that slot for 12:30. Guess what? It was gone. Somebody had just called to book it, and that was the last slot. Guys, when I say, and then, oh, to make matters worse, the doctor had a burial that week. So if I couldn't come Monday, there was nothing on Tuesday, Wednesday, up until Friday. I don't have till Friday, right? So I'm just there like, God, where do we go from here? Guess what? I've been saying guess what a lot, because the person on the other end of the call then says, "But you know what? I will slot you in. Just come in. Just make sure you come in early. I will slot you." If you know how things work, a lot of times, most times in developed countries, everything is by appointment, and they are quite strict on it. So for me, it was a miracle that this person was willing to slot me in, right? And I'm like, thank you, I'll be there early. So we're still getting everything done, passports, affidavits, everything, all the other things we need to get our certificates, all of that, putting it together. I didn't add this part. Another thing about my IELTS expiring, because if it expires, like I can just write a new one, right? But that means paying afresh. I don't even know what IELTS is like in the US, like where it will be. I have to prepare for it. And then ethical problems. In my previous IELTS, I had maxed out. What that means is I had gotten the highest scores in all four, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. I'd gotten the highest band, which is what added to our score. So if I write again and I get anything lower than the highest band in any one of these four, my score will drop, and that means my invitation to apply is no longer valid. So yes, thank you for the pressure. So I'm like, I don't even have the mental bandwidth to write again, so we better get everything done and submitted. Anyways, that's sorted. I have my medicals booked. It's a lot of money, but we thank God. um and then on Sunday, my classmate's mom calls me and she's sick. She's sick all over. I'm just like, Debbie's a liar. And then she goes, but don't worry, baby girl. I've spoken to her first son and he'll take you. Guys, for context, my classmate that is her second son is about 38. So this her first son is, give or take, 40. He doesn't know me. In fact, it even got me thinking like, gosh, it must be something to train up your child to a point to have the heart and the obedience that at 40 you can call them and say, please take a stranger, drive a stranger 4 hours to get something done. Now these are 4 hours to and fro, it's just 4 hours to go. I was really grateful for that. It really gave me a reason like to pause and think about raising my children, raising my son in particular. So she says that her son will take me, and I'm just like, thank you so much, ma'am. And the next day, Monday, I get ready. Before I leave I leave the house very early on Monday. But before I left the house, I had drafted like 4 documents. See, the lawyer in me came out. I had to draft an affidavit for my friend who is a lawyer back home to help me, get notarized and everything. He called me and he's like, okay, yeah, do this. By the time I sent it back to him, he was like, that was fast. I'm like, yeah, you don't know what you can do under pressure. So, anyways, we drive 4 hours to Reston. It was a good drive. I get into the clinic, right, for the medicals, and the person there is stunned. They're like, why do we have 3 appointments for today? We never have 3 appointments for today. It's always just two. Like, how could me? I'm just like, just allow God to use you. Don't be asking questions. God's hand is in this matter, you know. But anyways, he was actually quite surprised, like, okay, this doesn't happen. I'm like, of course it doesn't. God doesn't do things that usually happen. Amen. Amen. So, anyways, I'm here now. I think I was earlier than the other people. It's not even my business. I got my medicals done in about an hour, 30 minutes or thereabout. We drive back. In fact, the drive back was like 5 hours because there was an accident on the road. And also, guys, in context, this guy drove me 4 hours to go, waited for me 1.5 hours to do the test, and drove me back 5 hours. Never complained, never made me feel awkward. Some people that do you a favor, but you are very aware that they are doing you a favor. It wasn't anything like that. And I was just so grateful. And it was actually a lot of learning curve for me as well to say, okay, I know I'm a full grown adult, but can my mother also call me and say, do this for a stranger? You will do it with a willing, happy heart. That's something to think about for us as parents now, and for us as grown children as well. Do we have a heart to help people? Do we have a kind heart? That was something for me. Anyways, I get back and call center. I'm still on the phone. All of that. I get back. We're checking all our things together. We also have to pay an application fee. It was another miracle that we had the application fee ready and handy, to be honest. And I don't know if I want to go into the details of that, to be honest, but God supernaturally between January and March, this was like first 3 days of April at this point when this was happening. God literally supernaturally provided the exact amount that we needed to pay as application fee. He literally provided a way for us to put our money in something legit, and what came out of that, like minus our capital, what came out of it, the profit that came out of it was our exact application fee, guys. God is not a joker. Like when he does something, you can't take one glory. You know from beginning to end that this one is God. Anyway, so we had that. I got back, I was so tired. I had to still join a class online, and all that. And everything was ready. But I wanted to look at them. I'm very meticulous in certain things, documents and all. Maybe it's also part of my lawyer training. But I'm like, I'm really tired. We have what we need to submit, but I would want to look at it with fresh eyes, to be honest. So we all just, let's go to bed. We'll submit tomorrow. That's Tuesday. And the next day came, I was a bit more rested, looked through everything, because the submission process still requires you to, fill in information, quite a lot of information, and all of that. So by Tuesday, a bit more rested. I went through everything, filled it. Actually saw a few things that I needed to, correct or amend or make better. And people of God, by Tuesday, 4th April 2023, we submitted. So the email came 29th March, 1 year ago today. 5 days. 5 days and we submitted something that they gave us 60 days to do. And that is how we got in. If that's not a miracle, I don't know what was. And every time I remember it, every time I tell the story again, I'm reminded, like I said, I'll share with you, some of the highs and the lows in this whole process so far. And sometimes in the low moments, I just remember that God did not bring us this far to like keep us stranded, right? And so yeah, that's the miracle of how we got in, really. As summarized as I could make it. But that's how we got in, and all the little details that God put in place, the 3 draws back to back, it hasn't happened. My brother-in-law, in fact, my brother-in-law was saying that he almost moved their flight forward. I'm like, joke with the Lord. If he had moved it, wouldn't have gotten the 15 extra points, wouldn't have been in. And then getting the invitation to apply, and then having less than a week to do everything across 2 continents, and having to do all of that, and then just everything, the medicals, everything just worked together to give us this miracle, that got us in. And it was just so exciting for us because, funny enough, the draws that got us in was exactly our score. And then after that, I don't think it has gotten that low again for that particular program since 1 year ago. I don't think so up until now. I mean, room to be wrong because I haven't been monitoring, but I really don't think so. But anyways, all of that got us in. And I just wanted to share with you and share that, God still does miracles in different ways in our lives. So be encouraged. Maybe in a tight spot, you might even have given up on something. But if it's God's will for you, it will happen. So anyways, that's the video for today. Next week, I'm going to be sharing with you how we came about the decision to relocate. I've gotten quite a number of questions like, oh, so did you hear God saying, "Thou child of mine, move ye now to Canada"? Or did you want to go to Canada and call God and say, "Hello God, I'm moving to Canada whether you like it or not"? Or, what is in between? So that's what I'll be sharing in the next video. Make sure you come by, make sure you subscribe, like this video, share with somebody if you think it will be a blessing to them, or if you just enjoy the gist. I mean, share the gist, make somebody else smile. And if this video was a blessing to you, and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel, Faith, Life, Love, and getting you to live the balanced life that you've always wanted. Remember, God is still in the habit of doing miracles. I love you guys. See you next video. Bye.